What if I told you the algorithm isn't the reason your sales are stuck? Yep, you heard me. It's not the reach. It's not the hashtags. It's the shadow bans holding you back. The truth is there's something much bigger at play. And it's the reason your audience isn't converting into paying customers. It's full of cheerleaders. So here's a hint. It has nothing to do with posting more and everything to do with what happens after your audience sees your content. Today's episode, I am breaking down the real reason your sales are flatlining, the 3 biggest mistakes most entrepreneurs are making, and how to finally build a system that works, algorithm or not. Let's get into it.
Hey y'all, Elise Smith here, and welcome to the Socially Awesome Podcast, where we empower mompreneurs to implement simple social media strategies into their businesses and elevate their online presence. I'm a mompreneur of 3, an affiliate marketer, a network marketer, an influencer, a social media marketing agency owner, and your personal guru. I am here to give you tips, tricks, and tools that you need to build your social media business. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Socially Awesome Podcast. Elise Smith here. I'm your host. Today we're tackling a topic that became every entrepreneur's favorite scapegoat, the algorithm. It's mysterious. It's always changing. Let's face it, it's frustrating. But the deal is the algorithm isn't the reason your sales are stuck. I know that's not why you came here. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but it's your systems or the lack of one. So if you're tired of blaming the algorithm and ready to take control of your results, stick around because this episode is for you. All right, so let's start with what the algorithm can't do. Okay, the algorithm, the job is simple. It shows your content to people it thinks will like it. That's it. It doesn't care about how much effort you put into that post. Doesn't care how good your product is. It doesn't care about your offer or how badly you need a sale this month. The algorithm cannot fix your message. It can't sell your product, and it definitely can't make people buy your offer if it doesn't resonate with them. So I remember really early in my business, I used to spend hours trying to figure out what hashtags to use, what time to post, or even editing my videos like to perfection, re-recording over and over and over and over. And I'd still hear crickets because I was so focused on beating the algorithm. I had completely ignored what actually mattered, which was my message, my offer, how I was connecting with my audience. I became an algorithm robot. I was obsessed, watching YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video, thinking I would solve this massive puzzle. And if that's you, I'm going to tell you you're not going to. By the time you think you have it figured out, it's going to change again. There are 3 main reasons your sales are stuck. And they have absolutely nothing to do with your visibility or your reach. Because I can tell you right now, the algorithm isn't the villain. Of course, it has a play in your visibility. Visibility does not equal sales. Eyeballs don't pull out credit cards. It's all about the message you have. Because if you have 50 followers right now and you're not making sales, 50,000 followers will do absolutely nothing for you. So let's talk about these 3 reasons because I really want to dive into these. Number 1, you're talking to the wrong audience. If you're the person who has a ton of people, in your comments, how amazing you are, you're growing followers, your posts are doing great, but they're not your ideal client, your content won't land with them. So let's say you're selling a premium coaching package, but most of your audience is looking for like free tips and free tricks, and they're not ready to invest. There's a disconnect. So all of that energy you're putting into this content is wasted because it's bringing in the wrong people. A lot of that comes down to just nuances in your content and what you're saying. Because if your message is speaking to the wrong person, and I'm telling you, it is the smallest shifts. Okay, and I'll give you an example because I've been making a lot of these shifts recently in my own content. If I have a piece of content that goes out for my academy, which is my signature coaching offer, and I'm talking about how, you're ghosting your business for days and you don't want to show up on social media anymore. That may or may not resonate with that woman who's really ready to invest. Because that woman that's ready to invest is spending 12 hours a day on YouTube trying to figure it out. She's not ghosting. She's not ditching her business. She's showing up because she's driven. So it really is like the smallest tweaks in the content that really can attract the wrong people. And when you're so focused on going viral and growth content, that's what happens is you end up attracting the masses. And so then you have a mixed audience and you have a mixed message. And you think, okay, well, this posted really well. I'm going to do it again. And so you just keep repeating that cycle. So it's not always about if your content did really well or brought in a ton of people. It's more about if it brought in the right people. And you should be able to tell that from, if people are buying, from the conversations you're having, from the comments. You should be able to look at the bios of the people that comment and be like, that's my chick. So it really is making small tweaks in your messaging. Number 2, your offer isn't solving their pain points. So again, if your audience is full of the wrong people, then the pain points for your offer are not for them. And you might think your offer's fucking awesome, okay? But does your audience? Are you addressing what they actually need? Sometimes it's not about changing your product, but how you position it. So right now, you may or may not be in your content going, it's got this many modules, and it's beginner friendly, and it's on sale this month. And they don't care about any of that. They care about what happens after they buy it. And so again, if you don't know what that person really wants, and you're talking about how these are quick, simple modules for you to be able to watch in 10 minutes a day or less, and you've got a woman who is like, I don't have 10 minutes a day. I am busy. I am driven. I want you just to give me a roadmap and I want to go figure it out myself. She does not relate to having to watch modules. So you have to know what their actual pain point is. And then the third, you don't have any kind of system, no kind of follow-up system, no kind of nurture system. Where do all these people go once they find you? This one's huge. Let's say someone sees your post and they're interested. What happens next? Maybe they left a comment. You shot them a DM. They got busy. They were cooking. They were at softball with their kids. They forgot to reply to you. They opened it, but they didn't really read it. What's next? What happens now? You're leaving money on the table if you don't have a follow-up system. And I'm not telling you have to go back through every DM and manually follow up with people. You should have email sequences. You should have a DM strategy. You can automate this. But how do you guide people towards a buying decision? Most of your potential sales are lost because you don't have a system to catch them after they've shown interest. This can be in a lot of different formats, right? You can have a community. You can have, and right now you may have these systems and you're not able to utilize them effectively because, again, you're bringing in the wrong people. So they're not staying in your ecosystem because they're not interested. Your offer isn't solving their pain points. So they're never actually opting in to get into that system. So I want you to think about this. Let it sink in for a moment. The algorithm didn't make those problems. It's just exposing them. So let's talk about how to fix it. Because you can only control what you can control in your business. And this is the hardest thing to accept as an entrepreneur, that you cannot control everything. And the entire goal of your content is to get people off social media. So when you stop focusing on visibility and views and engagement and all of those things, and you start focusing on your customer's buyer journey, everything kind of shifts in your mind. And you're not so worried about what social media does. You're worried about how many people got into your system, how many people got into your funnel. You have way more power than you think, but it's on the back end. So I'm going to give you a couple ways, 3 ways. I love number 3. One, how to focus on what you can control. So number 1, clarity in your offer. Your audience knows exactly what you're offering and why it's the solution to their problem. That's what they need. So think about the last time you bought something. You didn't buy it because the algorithm showed it to you. Yeah, the algorithm shows me a lot of stuff, and half of it I scroll right by or I'm like uninterested, right? I mark it. But you bought it because it solved a problem or it fulfilled a desire that you had. So I want you to ask yourself, what pain point does your offer solve? And if it's not immediately clear, it's time to tweak your message. If it's 50 pages long, it's too much. You don't really know what it solves. You're just rambling. It's got to be immediately clear. Because if it's not immediately clear to you from your content, then it's definitely not immediately clear to your ideal client. Number 2, you need to build a system to nurture leads. So Once someone's shown interest, you need a way to keep the conversation going. This could be as simple as a follow-up DM sequence, an email sequence, a freebie that keeps you top of mind. And at the time of you listening to this, we're actually on day 2 of the Automation Advantage Challenge. I'll put all of that information in the show notes for you. It's not too late for you to pop in there. You can get lifetime access to the recordings with the VIP. But ultimately, this should all be automated. Because if you're ever going to get to those consistent, sustainable 5-figure months that you really want, this nurture system has to be automated. You're one person with 24 hours a day. You cannot do it all. So definitely check the show notes for information on that. It's not too late, but I'm going to give you an example. So I once ran a lead magnet with a campaign where I offered a free guide, and people who downloaded it were added to an email sequence. That's normal, right? That email sequence shared more value, and it gently kind of guided them towards my paid offer. Did it work? Absolutely. Why? Because I didn't leave the relationship kind of hanging after they clicked download. And so if you don't have a follow-up system, you need to create one now. And if you do have a follow-up system and it's not working, it's not converting, you need to try to troubleshoot why. Is there a disconnect between the lead magnet and the person? Is there a disconnect between the lead magnet and the emails? Does the lead magnet actually give them anything that they want that would lead them to believe you are the person to solve their problem? So if you don't have a nurture sequence, today is the day. Create one email sequence, okay? 3 to 5 emails. Plan out a DM follow-up template. Have something ready. If not, you're going to continue spinning your wheels. Number 3, create content that speaks to their struggles and their desires in a way that makes it a no-brainer for them. This is really where that magic happens. So if your content doesn't make your audience feel seen or understood, it's not going to work. And the only way to do that is to insert symptoms of the problem into your content. So when you're using words like overwhelmed and stressed, that looks different for everyone of every age, of every gender, where they live. It doesn't matter. You have to explain, what does overwhelmed look like in her life? What does stress look like in her life? I'm talking about down to, you're staring in the mirror as soon as you woke up in the morning, looking at yourself, wondering why you never feel like you can get caught up in life. Why is life continuing to throw you a curveball? I mean, be as specific as possible. No amount of algorithm tweaks can fix your message. So I do remember when I was posting, when I first got started, I thought it was like a great sales post, right? I would list out all the features of my offer because I knew what I knew. I knew that if you got in my offer, you were going to be wowed. And so I would list, like, you've seen the value stacking. This worth this much money, this worth this much money. And I was so passionate about what I had to offer. I was word vomiting all over everyone. And it wasn't really showing them why they needed those things. It was just telling them, I'm giving you these things for this price and it's bomb. So it didn't really connect with their pain points and it would just flop. So when I started to rewrite it and focus on their struggles, focus on benefits and how my offer solved their problem, everything shifted in my business. Same offer, different approach. So the next time you go to create a piece of content, I want you to ask yourself, does this address my audience's pain points? Does it give them a clear next step? Because if they can't see themselves and have an identity shift in the content you're putting out there, again, it's just noise. It doesn't give them the clear next step. And even if it does, it's not a no-brainer. It has to be a no-brainer. They have to add to cart, add credit card. If not, they think about it, and people are overthinkers. We're always overthinking. We're always second guessing. So I want to break this down to you in a couple quick wins that you can implement really quickly. So 1, using polls or questions to understand your audience's biggest struggles. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can go into Facebook groups where your ideal client is actually hanging out. And side note, this has to be done with your ideal client, not other people selling the same shit as you. All right. So just engaging with other people in your space, it's not going to build a business for you. If it did, I would be a bajillionaire. Okay. But go ask questions to uncover their real challenges. You can go join a Facebook group for just about everything. What group is your ideal client hanging out in? Not your competitor. Ask questions. What's your biggest struggle when it comes to XYZ? Use their answers to create content. Set up automations to stay in their inbox and their mind. If you are manually doing everything, you're leaving money on the table, your income is capped. Start with one simple automation, just one DM template. It will change the game for you, and you'll start to see where you can compress time and leverage it to make more sales. But if you're not staying in top of mind, they've moved on to someone else. Because likes don't pay the bills, followers don't equal customers, and engagement does not guarantee profit. It's so much deeper than that. And then creating content with clear, confident call to actions. They need to know exactly what to do next and why. So just saying drop me for details or follow for more, it's not enough. It's not enough. They're having to ask questions. And we talked about this earlier, but if they have to ask a question, they're confused. If they're confused, that's $0 in sales. So drop me for the deets. The deets on what? What are you going to send me? How am I going to get it? Why do I need it? It's got to be very specific and confident. Insert some social proof into the call to actions. But it's time to really face the truth that the real reason your sales aren't moving has nothing to do with the algorithm. You're not shadow banned. The algorithm doesn't hate you. Instagram doesn't have you on their hit list. It's your content isn't connecting with the right people. Your offer doesn't clearly solve their pain point, and you have no follow-up system to seal the deal. That is the real reason it's not moving. And if the algorithm's only bringing you 5 people a week, if you could convert all 5 people, what would that do for your business? How many are you actually converting right now? I know it's hard questions. But this is the truth. I don't care what that girl on your feed says about having a call with Meta and how it changed her life and Meta verified blah. Meta ain't going to tell you what the algorithm is. It's proprietary for a reason. The bottom line is the algorithm is not your enemy. It's just a tool. And tools only work if you're using them the right way. Stop blaming the algorithm and start focusing on what you can control. Your message, your offer, and your system. So with that being said, a couple things for you as we kind of wrap up today. If you're ready to ditch the algorithm excuses and build a strategy that actually works, I want you to DM me the word algorithm on IG. And you can find my Instagram on the show notes or at socially.awesome. And I want to talk to you about working with me in the academy. Because right now you have no sales system, no strategy. And until you build one, you will continue to live in the hamster wheel cycle. I also want you to check out the Automation Advantage Challenge in the show notes too. Like I said, we're on day 2, but it's recorded so you can watch day 1. Depending on what time you're listening to this, you could even be on day 2. Carrie and I, it's a collaboration with Carrie Augustine Boyle, an automation expert. She and I are breaking it down for you on how to find the gaps in your business, what to focus on to automate first, building a roadmap to automate. Automation is going to give you hours. And in this challenge, we're focused on giving you 10 plus hours back a week and boosting your sales by 50%. So that sounds like you. You're going to want to jump in there. Again, you can get lifetime access to the recordings. Carrie's got a special offer for you where you can get all of her templates and all of those things as well. And ultimately, if you got any value out of this episode at all, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode and leave a review. It's the absolute best compliment you can give. It lets me know what content you like, what content you don't like, so I can, make sure I'm serving you to the best of my ability. And take a screenshot. Throw in your stories. Tag me on IG at socially.awesome. I want to celebrate that you're plugging in. It takes time to build a business. And just by you listening to these episodes, you are committed. It's just time for you to get assistance with what's not working. So thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, your success isn't. So thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, your success isn't in the hands of the algorithm. It's yours. It's in your hands. And it's time that you take control of that. You get out of creator mode into CEO mode and really start to embrace that. All right. So until next time, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome. I'll see you next week.